And welcome to another edition of Ask the OT with Gina Grothoff and myself as the sidekick here, Don Grothoff. Gina has 30 plus years of working with the aging population as an occupational therapist, and now taking her skills and bringing them to a place of helping others by consulting and by answering questions of what to do in this long journey through an aging parent or an aging loved one's life. Welcome, Gina. We're back here talking about taking care of the caregivers of the aging loved one,
So yeah, caring for the caregiver. I mean,
whether that's professional or personal, whether it's the wife, the spouse, the wife, spouse, it's the same kind of thing. Sorry,
spouse, partner,
partner. It could be
husband,
just a relative too. It could be
wife, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece,
grandparent, even.
nephew, grandparent, great grandparent,
Yes. Wait,
family friend. So caring for the person caring for them. So just a quick reminder about caring for ourselves involves short, simple self-care, making sure that we are replenishing our own needs. And that could be as simple as taking a breath. So right now, it's just going to do a 4-4 breath. You breathe in slowly for 4, you hold for 4, you blow out for 4, and then hold again. We'll do just a couple rounds of that. So breathing in, hold, and breathe out. Slowly breathe in, hold, and breathe out. And one more time, breathe in calm and centering, and breathe out frustration and aggravation. So taking time throughout the day, whenever you remember, even after you've lost your temper, you can go, okay, I'm going to breathe now, just to recenter ourselves. It's important to do as a human being on this earth with all the things we have to do as a parent, as a caregiver, sometimes just dealing with family. And how can we support, for example, your mother's taking care of your dad? What things can you do to support them? Sometimes it's a matter of finding out what they want. We can make recommendations for safety and what we feel is best, yet we have to realize at what cost is giving our advice and pushing our opinion over their desire for independence and making their own choices. We can never guarantee that someone's not going to fall. We can never guarantee what is really going to happen. And I think the relationship is important. And there are times when it's a real danger and real safety, and we have to step in. And there's also room for preserving the relationship, for putting it first. Um, so my dad's on hospice, and the nurse said to me, he has a fever. I wouldn't put more than a blanket on him. But if your mom wants to put a blanket on him, then let her put the blanket on him. Let her comfort and care for him. So, we need to allow that person to do what they feel is taking care of someone, whether you're moving someone into an assisted living or a nursing home for the first time, allowing that person who's cared for them, their spouse or whoever, maybe it's a sibling, um, to not overstep, to realize that person who's been the primary caregiving person, they need that transition period. They need a way to process and shift, even though it's like, oh, this is a relief. We're stepping in and, someone else is going to help now. you don't want to just step in and take over. As much as we want to help, sometimes our taking over can feel, um, I don't know the word, but it can feel very difficult for the person going through that situation. They want help, but they don't always want someone else to take over or start telling them what to do. So sometimes supporting is being there, bringing meals, helping care for pets or other family members, um, helping run errands. There was a time my dad was in rehab years ago, and I reached out for my mom to do this food chain where people bring meals. And it just turned out that I helped her reconnect with a friend she hadn't talked to in a while. And they went and went out to dinner together. That's why my dad was in rehab several years back. And so, I put the intention out there about doing this meal train where you bring food, and they were able to reconnect and just have dinner together. And that's all that came out of my effort with the meal train, but that was all that was really needed at that time. Um, so there's different ways we can step in and help, and allowing the person to experience what they want. Some people don't want other people's food or don't want, too many people around. Some people love people around. Different things work for different people. We need to honor that of the person we're caring for, the person who's aging, who has dementia or whatever illness that's afflicting them. And we need to honor the person that's the caregiver. And I think it can be the most challenging when those two people's different are very, differences of what they want. It's a balancing act. So, as always, if you have questions, you join us live. If you're watching this after the fact, if you'd like to be here live, how can they reach us, Don?
Well, they can go to our website, focusedhealthyfamily.com, but they can also send emails to Don at Focused Healthy Family, and we'll get them to Gina so she can come up with some answers and we'll be able to reply.
And you can do that anonymously, or if you'd like to give your name, either way, so that you can join us in the future. You can scroll back to former episodes where we talked with other people, answered different questions relating to these topics. And it really can be anything related to caring for an aging loved one. Maybe it's just, okay, I'm dealing with my mom and I've got that under control, but I'm having issues with my kids. And like, how do I juggle? There's balls in the air. I say sometimes it feels like I'm standing on a treadmill on a moving ball, juggling balls in the air, and realizing I get to step off the moving ball. I get to step off the treadmill, and I've turned my balls into balloons that can ebb and flow as I do the balancing act of working as an OT, growing our business, doing podcasts, caring for my children, caring for my parents, the different roles that I'm playing, taking care of my home and my pets. Um, and that it can be more of a delicate balancing act instead of a frantic juggling act. And it feels like that at times. And I can find ways to step step off of that rolling ball on the treadmill and get into focus, because it doesn't serve anybody else any good for me to be running 100 miles an hour and just nonstop. I quickly get depleted. And I've risen to the occasion. We've had a number of health crisis challenges in our family over the years, and I've jumped to it and been there. And I, at times, then months later or whatever, I get depleted, and that happens. And, some things can't be planned for, unexpected heart attacks and things, and other illnesses that are slow and progressive have a different feel to them. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about hospice tonight, because it's something I knew a little bit about, but as an occupational therapist, the way that the system is set up with Medicare generally paying for these services, hospice is a comfort measure. It's not seeking treatment. Um, And because of that, there's things Medicare won't pay for if someone's on hospice. And a big thing is therapy. So when I work in facilities, if someone, the family decides to go to hospice, we have to discontinue therapy services. They can't be paid for jointly. And I got talking with the chaplain about that recently. And it's a shame because occupational therapists provide positioning education, how to reduce pressure sores, looking at things like that to minimize discomfort and pain. And they're, areas of expertise that can be incorporated and could be beneficial. There are some really neat things that happen with hospice care, and people don't realize that the diagnosis is roughly 6 months or so. So people often wait till the very end when they could utilize hospice services much sooner. You can have a nurse that can come out weekly or more frequently when needed, but also have access to a nurse 24/7. On hospice services, you can call at any time if there's an issue, and the hospice nurse can come out. Someone has a fall, something happens, rather than going to the hospital, hospice nurse can come out and assess the situation. They have chaplains who work. They have 7 days a week. They have music therapy services. Um, there's a few other things I've recently learned about. There's other services. They can provide equipment, hospital beds, fall mats, just a foam mat you put on the floor if someone's prone to trying to get up and could slip and fall. Wheelchairs, other positioning devices, they cover the cost of this. It's billed 100% by Medicare and covered. And so some of these things are not normally paid for by Medicare. And yet with hospice care, I think there's a variety of different things that can be supported and paid for, and even more than I'm aware of. Um, and they're there to support the family as well as the person who's near the end of their life. And I've seen people that go on hospice and then they come off hospice for a while because no one really knows. No one has a crystal ball. And some illnesses, it's just hard to know. And you could try it out and then you can go, you know what? He really wants to walk and I want him to have therapy services again. We can discontinue hospice and pick it up again later. There are options. I think unfortunately there's a stigma with hospice that, it means death, this imminent. I'm not sure what people think it means, but they work with you. They talk to you about medications and they want to help reduce the medication someone is taking just because multiple medications can really have a negative effect on the body, but they're not going to deny you anything. So they work with the family. I mean, they spend time with you and talk about where you're at. Um, and, I recently told someone, my dad's on hospice, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, sorry, this is a good thing. We have extra support now. We have other people on board, and this can go on for months. The chaplain was actually telling me that they used to say 6 months to year diagnosis, and then they tailed it back to just 6 months. But how does anyone really know? Um, we don't really know um, how long people have to live. None of us do when you think about it like that. But just, I want people to be aware that these services can provide extra support and help, and they're not going to step in and do anything you don't want them to. You know, Someone who lives at a facility, they actually talk to the family more as far as making decisions and things, and you have more contact with the staff and they work in addition to the staff members who are already there caring for someone. And it can be a really helpful thing. And you can meet and consult with someone about hospice services and choose to wait. You can have your loved one assessed and you can say, I don't know, we're not sure right now. And you can call up, a day later, a week later, 2 months later, and getting the information can be so helpful. There are multiple different companies with hospice, and getting a recommendation from someone is a good idea, as it is with anything.
Well, I think when I think of hospice, what I think about is they had the compassion that, not that nurses and staff from the facility don't care for them and love them, or, but they just add they come in from a different perspective, I think, and more compassionate and just respect the whole scenario of what's going on.
Well, and allowing someone to die with dignity.
Yeah.
I talked with a hospice nurse recently who used to work in home health, and she said it was a big adjustment because when you're a home health nurse, you're all about supporting healthy living and taking your medications and a healthy lifestyle, and it's a shift. It's a
Hmm.
shift in focus. It's like, okay, we're accepting now.
Yeah.
We're accepting where what can we do to have the most comfort, whatever that looks like for people. And yeah, so if you have experience with hospice, if you work in hospice, reach out to us. We're looking to interview more people for our podcast to discuss these things and have conversations about this. Our role and we working with people, and my role, even when I consult with people, is not to have all the answers, but to be that professional one-on-one person who could help guide you. I've worked with so many geriatric people over the 30 plus years that I've worked as an occupational therapist, and the setting in healthcare pushes me to be quicker and spend less time with people, which is frustrating. And I have areas of expertise from navigating going from the hospital to rehab to home and looking at home environments and adaptations and things that need to be done. Um, and it can be so different depending on the personality, the person, the family dynamic, your financial situation, what resources you have. And I'd love to just even consult with you to discuss your situation because I can give general information and ideas for everyone. And yet, one on one, it can make a bigger impact. And so that's what I do with my consulting with people, but also with our podcast where we interview people and talk all kinds of different topics about caring for um, our children, our parents, ourselves, and then the focus of caring for aging loved ones is this, um, whatever we call this cast. It is YouTube cast. Does this have a name when we do
Well, I
this?
guess it's streaming,
Just a
streaming live.
streaming live. Yeah, but having, hearing from other people. So, like I said, we have done interviews already with lots of people, but we're always looking for more. So, do reach out to us. Do check out our podcast. You can search through the topics, if there's something in particular that you want to hear more about or listen to.
Yeah, we've got I think some really good stuff even coming up. So
As we record this and air this today on this Monday, the 7th of October, our podcast will be airing this Thursday. We drop our podcasts every Thursday.
and it's going to be a really fun one too because we interview an actress who is caring for her aging grandmother, and she was a lot of fun to talk with. So it's something to look forward to. This coming Thursday comes out at 8 o'clock on any platform you might be listening to your podcast. You should be able to find Focus Healthy Family
And they're
Podcast.
also can be found right here on YouTube now.
That's
You
true.
can see us and our silly antics as well as listen to us.
So that I think wraps us up for this series on Ask the OT and not the series, but this session, I guess. Um, we hope that you've enjoyed it. Again, if you're hearing this on the after side of this, you can still reach out to us. You can go to Focused Healthy Family and contact us through that. Send it to me, Don at focusedhealthyfamily.com.
And share the information with other people you know. All of us know somebody who's caring for an aging loved one. With the baby boomer population as large as it is and is aging, there's different capacities, and maybe we're not directly caring for someone, but we're that family member who lives far away and wants to know what we can do to help out, or we have questions or concerns. We're here to support, to give information, to connect you with other resources. So please share our podcast, share this information, share this link to this YouTube channel to anyone that you know.
And also look for as part of my process in this, the work that Gina and I do is the calming the anxiety through EFT and tapping. And you can look for my group tapping sessions each month. Again, going to Focus Healthy Family, you should be able to find the dates there. And what I ask is that people register so that I can each month I'll send out the dates of the upcoming And they're free group sessions of tapping to help ease some of the anxiety and stresses that you might be going through.
So take a breath, remember to breathe and take care of yourself. And thank you for joining us tonight.